Imagine this: you're standing at a party, drink in your hand, talking casually with a group of people. You're comfortable in your zone. Then she shows up. At first, she's on the edge of the circle, smiling, laughing at the right moments. But before long, she's closer, inch by inch, almost unnoticed. She shifts into your orbit. Suddenly, she's right next to you, brushing your arm, leaning in when she doesn't need to, making your space feel like it's hers. And here's the question that burns in your head later that night. Why does she keep moving into your space? Is it attraction? Is it manipulation? Or is it something you're not even aware of yet? You see, space is not just physical. Space is psychological territory. When someone moves into your space, they're not only closing the distance between bodies, they're testing boundaries. And women, consciously or unconsciously, use this as one of their most potent tools. Sometimes it's innocent, a pure signal of desire. But other times it's a calculated move in the unspoken war of dominance and control. What makes it dangerous for you is not the act itself, it's your interpretation of it. Because if you misread her intention, you either fall into the trap of over-pursuing or you become blind to the game she's playing. Think about how you've reacted in the past. Maybe you froze. Maybe you thought, she must like me. And instantly your mind jumped ahead to possibilities, already imagining her interest as guaranteed. Maybe you leaned in too, giving more of yourself away, thinking closeness meant connection. But often, this is where you lose your power. Because what you don't realize is this: when she invades your space, she's not always giving you something, she's taking something. She's taking control of your frame, your composure, your ability to hold ground. And if you don't notice it, you surrender authority before you even speak a word. Let me break it down. Some women use proximity as a weapon. She knows when she steps closer, you'll feel something, your pulse quickens, your guard drops, your focus shifts. Suddenly, you're reacting instead of leading. She owns the rhythm because you're busy adjusting to her presence. This is why men so often lose the upper hand in these moments. They confuse physical closeness with emotional commitment, when in reality, it might just be a test. How much will he give if I step inside his space? The answer she's looking for is not your words, but your reaction. And here's the brutal truth: if you lean in too eagerly, she knows she has you. If you shrink back awkwardly, she knows you're weak. But if you hold your ground, calm, relaxed, unshaken, you flip the script. Suddenly, she's the one wondering why you're not swayed. She's the one feeling the tension. That's how power works. It's not about pushing her away or pulling her in. It's about being immovable, untouchable, centered no matter what storm she stirs up. So how do you apply this in real life? The next time she steps into your personal zone, resist the urge to overreact. Don't smile nervously. Don't rush into conversation just because she's close. And don't lean back like she's a threat. Instead, stay grounded. Keep your posture steady, your expression composed. Hold eye contact like her move doesn't faze you. Speak slowly with weight in your words. What this does is send a message she can't ignore. I am not thrown off by your presence. I choose how I respond. That's where respect is born, not in chasing, not in yielding, but in holding ground. And let's take it further. If you want to test whether her move is attraction or manipulation, pull back not physically, but emotionally. Withdraw just a fraction of attention. Let her work for it. If she's genuinely interested, she'll close the gap again. She'll seek your validation. If she's only playing, she'll drift away to find another man who reacts more predictably. Either way, you win. Because you don't get trapped in her orbit, you make her prove she belongs in yours. I know this sounds simple, but it's not. Because when you're in the moment, her perfume, her touch, her smile, they're all designed to disarm you. You feel alive, wanted, chosen, but attraction without control is just chaos. You need to see past the rush and remember every move into your space is a test of yours. Are you a man who collapses at the slightest pressure, or are you a man who stands tall, unmoved, and makes her earn the privilege of closeness? So, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a woman move closer and you instantly lost control of yourself? Did you give away your power without realizing it? And when you look back, do you think she was truly interested or just curious to see if she could pull you into her gravity? Tell me in the comments. And more importantly, ask yourself next time it happens, will you hold your ground or will you give it away again? You've probably noticed this pattern before, even if you didn't have the words for it. You're sitting at a cafe, minding your business, when she chooses the seat right next to you, even though there are 10 others available. Or maybe you're walking with friends, and somehow she ends up brushing against your arm with every step, as if the world tilted her into you. These aren't accidents. Women are masters at using subtle movement to provoke a reaction, and the truth is, whether it's attraction or a test, the way you respond determines everything that happens after. Here's the psychology. Humans are wired to protect personal space. When someone enters it, it creates tension. For most men, when a woman does this, the tension is confused with intimacy. Your brain screams, she must be interested, but often, she's not signaling commitment, she's signaling curiosity, or control, or just amusement at seeing how you'll respond. This is where so many men sabotage themselves. They read too much into her move and hand over their frame without realizing it. Let's be honest. How many times have you leaned in, laughed harder, tried to keep the conversation alive just because she was physically close? In that moment, you were no longer grounded. You were chasing her validation, desperate to keep that closeness from disappearing. She didn't even need to say a word. By standing closer, by sitting near, she already dictated the rhythm, and you followed. But think about what happens if you flip it. Instead of letting her movements dictate your emotions, you treat her closeness as neutral, nothing more, nothing less. She leans in, you stay calm. She touches your arm, you don't jolt or overreact. You carry on, measured, unshaken. Now the tension is hers to carry. Now she's wondering, why doesn't he react like every other man? Why isn't he rushing to please me just because I'm near? That's when you stop being predictable. That's when she sees you differently. Here's the tactical clarity: never confuse proximity with commitment. Space doesn't equal sincerity. If she keeps moving into your space, test it. Drop your attention for a moment. Let silence hang between you. See if she feels it. Look past her shoulder as if your world doesn't shrink just because she stepped closer. If she wants you, she'll signal again, stronger this time. If she's only playing, she'll retreat. Either way, you didn't lose yourself. And let me give you a story to make this real. A man once told me about a woman at his office who constantly sat too close, always brushing by, always smiling when she stood in his line of sight. He assumed she was interested. He took her to lunch, invested energy, opened up about his life. Weeks later, he found out she had a boyfriend and was never serious. She just liked the attention. He was crushed, but not because she rejected him. He was crushed because he had abandoned his center so quickly, misreading her space invasion as a promise. That's the cost. When you don't test, when you don't hold ground, you give yourself away for free. So what's the better play? Indifference first, investment later. Hold back your energy until she proves she deserves it. Don't chase because she's close. Wait to see if she stays close when you give nothing. That's the real measure of interest. Women can sense this shift immediately. When you don't bite the bait, You force her to reveal whether she's truly drawn to you or just playing the game. Understand this when she steps into your space. She's pulling a lever inside your psychology. That lever is desire, tension, curiosity. If you let her pull it unchecked, you lose control. But if you learn to feel the lever and not move, she loses the script. And here's where it gets powerful. You become the man she can't read. You become the mystery she wants to solve, not because you played a trick, but because you refuse to collapse into predictable patterns. So the next time she stands too close in line or presses her shoulder against yours at the bar, don't flinch, don't rush, don't smile like you've won the lottery. Relax your shoulders, breathe, and act as if nothing unusual has happened. Let her wonder why you're calm when every other man would already be falling over himself. That calmness is your power. That unshaken presence is what separates you from the rest. Now let me ask you, how many times have you confused a woman's closeness with real attraction? Have you ever chased someone harder just because she gave you that physical signal? And when it all fell apart, did you realize how quickly you had surrendered your ground? Be honest in the comments. The men who tell the truth about this are the ones who finally stop repeating the cycle. Picture this. You're at a bar with a couple of friends. The music is loud, the drinks are flowing, and out of nowhere, she appears. She leans in, too close, brushing past you when she could have easily gone around. Her laugh is just a little too loud. Her hand lingers on your shoulder longer than necessary. Every move is designed to push into your space, and your body reacts before your brain. Does you feel that rush, that heat, that sudden certainty that she must want you? But slow down. This is where most men get played. Because what you don't see is the psychological warfare happening underneath the surface. When she keeps moving into your space, she's flipping the script of control. Instead of you choosing when to invite her closer, she invades without permission, making you the one who has to adjust. Suddenly, you're not leading, you're reacting. You shift your stance, you lean back, you try to mirror her energy. And in that exact moment, she knows she has you. Because the man who reacts is the man who is no longer in control of himself. Here's the cruel truth: women don't respect men they can predict. If she knows that a brush of her arm, a tilt of her head, or a step into your personal bubble will make you light up like a boy on Christmas morning, she's already won. That's not attraction, it's compliance. And compliance is the slow death of masculine power. Now, not every woman who invades your space is playing a malicious game. Some are genuinely drawn to you, their body betraying their interest. But here's the problem. You can't tell the difference if you've already surrendered your frame. And that's why you must train yourself to treat every invasion as a test until proven otherwise. Attraction or manipulation, curiosity or control, it all looks the same in the beginning. Your job is not to guess. Your job is to hold steady until her actions reveal the truth. Think about how this changes the dynamic. She steps closer, expecting you to grin, to blush, to bend. Instead, you stay calm, unbothered, even slightly detached. You don't lean in, you let her come to you. You don't speed up your words, you slow them down, anchoring the moment in your rhythm, not hers. You don't shift your body, you let the silence speak for itself. And in that pause, in that unshaken composure, the entire power balance flips. She realizes you're not like the others. She realizes she can't bend you with a step forward, and that realization stirs something deeper: respect, maybe even desire. I want you to understand something critical. Women test not because they hate men, but because they need to feel something real. They need to know you're not just another man who collapses at the slightest touch of female attention. And most men fail. Most men prove, in the first 5 seconds of closeness, that they're easy, predictable, and unworthy of deeper investment. But the man who doesn't flinch, the man who holds his space, creates tension that cannot be faked. That tension is the seed of attraction that actually lasts. Here's a field tactic for you. Next time she moves into your space, try this pause. Don't move an inch. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop and say nothing for a beat longer than feels comfortable. Then, when you do speak, let your tone be low, steady, unhurried. Watch what happens. Most women will either escalate their signals because your calmness unsettles them in a good way, or they'll retreat, exposing that it was never real attraction to begin with. Either way, you win. You've either earned her genuine pursuit, or you've saved yourself from wasting energy on empty games. And let's be clear about the cost if you fail this test. Every time you react too eagerly, every time you chase her because she brushed your arm, you teach her something about you. You teach her that your boundaries are weak, that your desire overpowers your discipline, that she can lead you by the nose with nothing more than her presence. And once she learns that, she can't unlearn it. Respect dies in that moment. And without respect, no attraction survives. So here's the shift you need. Stop treating proximity as a prize. Start treating it as pressure. And pressure is where men are revealed. Are you the man who bends, or the man who holds? Are you the man who mistakes every touch for love, or the man who waits for proof before he invests? That's the difference between being consumed by her games and being the man she can't forget. Now let me turn this back to you. Have you ever had a woman sit too close, touch you too often, or lean in just enough to drive you crazy only for it to lead nowhere? Did you realize later she was only playing with your reactions? And more importantly, what would change in your life if you could stay calm, steady, unbothered every single time a woman tested your space? Think about it and be honest in the comments. Think about how powerful this is. Space is the invisible battlefield you didn't even know you were fighting on. You've been trained since boyhood to believe that closeness equals care. When someone sat close to you in school, when a girl leaned in at a party, you assumed it meant connection. But in reality, closeness is just stimulus. It's not commitment. It's not proof. It's not loyalty. And if you don't recalibrate, you'll spend your whole life mistaking physical proximity for emotional truth. That mistake is how men get manipulated, overextended, and drained. Let's get brutally clear. A woman who keeps moving into your space is not always chasing you sometimes. She's chasing power. She's checking whether you'll adjust to her movements, whether you'll tilt your body, lean in, open your stance. She's checking if you'll mirror her before she's earned it. If you do, you've just surrendered leadership without a word. You're telling her, I'll rearrange myself around you. And that's the exact opposite of what creates lasting attraction. Women crave the man who doesn't collapse, the man who stays centered, the man who doesn't make himself smaller or bigger just because she steps closer. The internal cost of failing this test is huge. Every time you react to her space invasion with nervous laughter, fidgeting, or over-eagerness, you're teaching your subconscious that your worth depends on her approval. You're reinforcing a loop where her slightest movements control your emotions. Over time, this erodes your sense of authority. You stop leading conversations. You stop setting the tone. You stop making decisions from strength. You become a man who waits to be chosen instead of a man who chooses. And that's why so many men wake up one day realizing they're trapped in relationships where they're constantly chasing, constantly proving, constantly trying to hold on to closeness that was never theirs to begin with. But here's the shift you don't need to chase. You don't need to prove, and you don't need to react. The true power move is detachment, not coldness, not hostility, just calm indifference. When she moves closer, you don't shrink or expand. You don't light up or pull away. You simply remain. The center of gravity doesn't change. She steps into your space, but your space remains yours. That's when she feels the weight of you. That's when she realizes she's entered a territory she doesn't own, a frame she can't bend. Want a practical exercise? Next time you're out, practice holding still. If she brushes your arm, let it happen. Don't flinch. If she leans in, stay relaxed. Breathe slow. Speak with pause. If she locks eyes, don't dart away or stare hungrily. Just hold steady, like you've been there before. Because you have. Because this is not new to you, even if your body wants to tell you it is. That composure communicates more than 1,000 words. I am not moved by games. If you want me, you'll have to bring more than proximity. That one message separates you from 95% of men she encounters. And don't underestimate the reverse tactic withdrawing. If she moves into your space, sometimes the best play is to lean back, not physically in retreat, but emotionally in restraint. Pull your energy inward. Don't overtalk. Don't overgive. Make her bridge the gap with action, not just presence. If she's serious, she'll keep showing up. She'll make it clearer. She'll invest. If she's not, she'll vanish the moment you don't hand her the validation she came for. Either way, you've protected yourself from wasting effort. Either way, you've kept your frame intact. Remember, this attraction without respect is temporary, and respect is earned when you show her that her presence doesn't control you. It's when you can enjoy her closeness without needing it. It's when you can let her in, but you're just as strong if she steps away. That balance, openness without dependence, calmness without collapse, is what makes you magnetic. It's not a trick. It's not a performance. It's the discipline of being whole within yourself. Now I'll ask you straight, have you ever given away too much just because she leaned in? Did you ever mistake a shoulder touch for a promise? How much time, energy, and emotion have you wasted chasing signals that weren't real? And what would your life look like if you trained yourself to never give up your frame, no matter how close she gets? Here's where it all comes together. Every time she inches closer, every time she leans in or brushes against you, there's a silent conversation happening. She's asking, will you bend to me, or will you hold? And most men, without realizing it, bend instantly. They light up, they adjust, they start chasing a closeness they didn't earn. That's why they lose respect. That's why they keep finding themselves stuck in one-sided dynamics, exhausted and confused about why she pulled away later. They never realized it was never about the brush of her arm. It was about whether they could handle the pressure without cracking. Detachment is the key. Detachment doesn't mean you don't feel desire. It doesn't mean you don't want her. It means you don't hand over control just because she plays with proximity. You stay steady, centered, and sovereign over your own reactions. You see her move, you feel it, but you don't jump. You don't give her the satisfaction of knowing she can spin your emotions with the smallest gesture. That's where your true leverage lies, in not reacting the way every other man would. And here's the paradox: when you stop chasing her space, when you stop proving yourself because she stepped closer, that's when she actually feels drawn to you. Women don't fall for men who collapse into them. They fall for men who stay rooted, men who create tension by being immovable, men who invite closeness but never depend on it. That kind of man is rare, and rare is irresistible. So what do you do when she moves into your space? You let her. You let the silence breathe. You let the moment stretch without rushing to fill it. You enjoy it without clinging to it. If she's real, she'll lean in deeper. If she's playing, she'll retreat. Either way, you haven't lost, because your worth was never measured by how close she stood. It was measured by how well you held yourself when tested. I'll tell you something you may not want to hear, The men who constantly lose in love are not destroyed by rejection. They're destroyed by overinvestment. They give too much, too soon, too fast. Simply because a woman smiled at them or stepped an inch closer, they mistake possibility for proof, and they pay with their dignity. But the men who win are the ones who can feel desire without surrendering to it. They don't fear losing her because they were never clinging in the first place. They stand tall, they watch, they wait, and they choose. And that's the ultimate lesson. She didn't break you. She didn't trick you. She didn't manipulate you into giving up your ground. You did that to yourself. You confused proximity with love, attention with loyalty, testing with commitment. The day you stop making that mistake is the day you stop being played. The day you decide your space is sacred. Your reactions are your own. Your worth is untouchable. That's the day you stop being another man in her orbit and start being the center she gravitates toward. So when she moves into your space again, remember this: it's not about her. It's about you. Will you let her movements dictate your reality, or will you hold your frame no matter what? Because the truth is, women don't respect the man who bends. They respect the man who stands. And if she's the right one, she won't just move into your space, she'll stay because she knows she can't shake you. And if she's not, you'll still walk away intact, stronger, untouched. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.